Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 10 of Gens Before Friends.
Woo,
Woo
woo,
woo!
woo.
Guys, we made it to
Party.
10. I'm so excited.
Get your kazoos out.
A
Hey,
kazoo party.
I have whiskey. What kind of party are you
Ooh,
having?
okay.
Hey, it's not Whiskey Wednesday. Okay, it can be Malt Monday, maybe.
Ooh, there you go.
Look, I still need to go get alcohol, so we're down to whiskey.
It's okay. Totally understand. We can do an alcohol run later. We got a packed episode for you guys today, but I totally didn't introduce us. I forgot. I was super excited. I am Queen AMG, and I'm with my fellow Lady Swiffers, Morbid Plum
Hello.
and Mockingbird.
Hi, whiskey's the best.
Who loves
Also, I
whiskey?
would like you to know that the anniversary gift for 10 years is aluminum.
So aluminum foil. What are
We
we
haven't been doing this for 10 years. It's
Oh,
for
damn
10
it. Okay,
episodes.
it's fine.
doing?
It's
Episodes.
10th anniversary in
Please don't
general.
send us aluminum. I
I
wouldn't know what
mean,
to do with it.
aluminum
could
foil
make
has
hats.
many uses. The tinfoil talks. We need aluminum foil for the tinfoil.
True.
talks.
Exactly.
We can make our tinfoil hats for that. But we do have a packed episode for you guys today. For the first part of this episode, we're going to be talking about the developer update that was released today for September 2023. That has some very interesting things on it, including stuff about our favorite and adored killer, Lady Voldemort. For those who are maybe new, that's our beloved nickname for our favorite killer, Skull Merchant, right, guys?
Yay.
Yeah.
And then the second half, we're going to be doing something that one of our amazing listeners asked us to do. And I'm going to kind of leave a secret till we get there. But I guess we can hop right into the developer update, starting with one of the new mechanics that's going to be coming out, the anti-face camping. So, as we all know, it sucks to be face camped, especially on First Hook and at 5 gens, which has been really common lately, or 4 gens.
Any gens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
any gens. Dead by Daylight is trying to make it where face camping is a little less desirable from the killer side. It says, going forward, you'll notice a new meter appears whenever you are on the hook. This meter will gradually fill whenever the killer is near you. The closer the killer is, the faster the meter will build. Once it is full, you'll gain the ability to unhook yourself with a 100% chance of success, even during the second hook phase. And unhooking yourself in this way will grant you all the usual benefits such as endurance and haste. To ensure that this cannot be abused by aggressive survivors, the rate at which the meter fills will decrease or potentially even stop entirely when other survivors are nearby. Additionally, once the exit gates are powered, this feature is disabled entirely. This is because at this point in the match, the killer needs to do whatever they can to secure one last kill, so we can't expect them to graciously leave the hook. And this new mechanic is intended to address the most egregious camping scenarios. Man, they upped. Someone has a thesaurus.
Right?
Discouraging killers from standing too close to Hook Survivor for an extended period and creating opportunities for the other survivors to make the save. So I guess we'll throw it on out there. What do you guys think about the anti-face camping? Morbid.
I was excited for this. They kind of like showed us a little tidbit of this in the anniversary stream, I believe.
Mhm.
And I think it's a good idea. It sucks that they have to do that, but I feel like it's become not a major problem, but it's definitely a bigger problem in the
Mhm.
world of Dead by Daylight. I don't know if people just really want to get kills or they're just mean. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see this go live and see how it works, especially with some killers, which we'll talk about in a little bit too, being able to maybe put traps down or something else, it'll be interesting, just like I said, to see how it kind of works in a live setting. So hopefully when the PTB goes live, this will be in there. How about you, Mocking?
Well, like you just mentioned, I have some questions. I think it's a good thing But I have questions because there
Yeah.
was DBD did reply to a question on Twitter about someone had asked to consider disabling Bubba's chainsaw near hook survivors because he can just go through them with like the 3 sweeps of his chainsaw, right? Because endurance only protects you from 1 hit. So Bubba can be an issue. Trapper, like I was thinking, well, can't you just put a trap down where the person's going to Kobe, or put like all your traps around them? So will Trapper not be able to place like traps around the hook? I mean, and then you have like Nurse, you have Huntress, all these killers
Ag.
that like. So I have questions. I think it's a step in the right direction. I just want to see if it actually works, if it works with all the killers, what they're going to do, or if it's just going to be you still get tunneled. Because even if you get unhooked, what are you going to do about anti-tunneling? Because they have nerfed every anti-tunneling perf, right? They have nerfed DS. The only
Good
one you
point.
have is off the record, and that's for 1 hit. But you already have endurance if you unhook yourself. I think they need to bring old DS back, or I'll even go so far as to say they should just make DS base kit. Would fix this a bit. Old DS, not 3-second DS, 5-second DS. Just make it. They made borrow time base kit. Make DS base kit. That would be my thing, because if it's gonna be that they can still tunnel you off the hook, then what's the point of the anti base camping? So I think it's good, but I want to see it in action, because every PTB people figure out the dumbest stuff to do.
How to abuse the system.
How to abuse. There are people that know how to abuse the game. I mean, we had the 4-stack endurance effects at one time. Like all that kind of crazy stuff. So I'm curious to see what will come out, and hopefully PTB drops tomorrow and we can see.
We can play it.
Yeah. Which Queen read this, but it didn't register in my brain. But it turns off when the exit gates are open. And then they say it's because at this point the killer needs to do whatever they can to get one last kill. And I'm like, do they?
Yeah.
Do
So
they really?
as a killer player, I would say yes, because what you're only. You don't have any other objective. If all the gens are done,
Well, good point,
you could go to the door, but why would you leave the hook? Like if the doors are far away, why would you leave the one person you have on a hook? Because ideally, and we do this when we play, it's like they're camping. Well, everyone else just leave. Don't give them more kills. You could just sacrifice the one hooked player, or you can go try and save them. I mean, if you got a good team, you might be able to get off saving them, body blocking and stuff. It's situational, but I kind of understand this, because what else is the killer supposed to do, right? At this point, there's no gens to patrol. Fair. They could go to the exit gate and try to push people out, but again, I feel like that's situational, because if they hook them far away from the gate, you're not gonna, especially with killers that are not mobile, like Trapper, Clown. You can't get over there fast. So and then if they unhook and then you have to go all the way back, it's so slow.
See, this is why we need a killer person in our group, because you understand the killer side.
Well, I'm over here fair.
No, it's not fair.
I think it's fair in general, because honestly, after gens are done,
the killer's lost. Okay,
there's nothing else for the killer to do besides try to kill you all. And it would make sense that once exit gates are powered, that the only objective would be to take down as many people as possible. And again, we've had plenty of matches where whoever was hooked, we would go as a team to save them and say, hey, I'm gonna be the one to sacrifice because I don't need to get out because of XYZ reason, or we've had times where we were able to pull it off and get everybody out. Or times where it was just just leave, don't give them another hook. Yeah, I think it's fair. I think it'll be interesting. I have questions as well in regards to killers that do have traps or certain powers that can make it harder for whoever gets off the hook to not be downed. I'm wondering if, because it says they'll get the usual benefits as endurance and haste, but I'm wondering if it's the same amount of time or if it's going to be longer. Because I honestly think if someone is camping you, it should be longer. Hopefully to get somebody else another person, another survivor, to take some hits for you or to distract them. But again, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because like Mocking said, it seems like every time there's a PTB, behavior assumes people are playing the game one way, when in reality they're always playing it another, which to me always shows a disconnect in how they don't realize how people play the game because they don't think of these things until it becomes like an issue or we vocalize that this is an issue. So it will be interesting to see how this mechanic will change the dynamic of gameplay in general. All right, so we did have some map changes as well. The Shattered Square, what should have never been a Shattered Square, it should have been a castle map.
Amen. Amen. Preach.
Max.
For this one, they're updating it via, I guess, points given to during feedback. For those who are familiar with the Shatter Squared, it is like an outside square with like kind of like market and
Like a
homes and stuff like
village.
that, like a little village.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of like low obstacles on the ground that sometimes you can't see and you can hit when you're running. We've had it plenty of time, but we're like, what did I get stuck on? Like a little barrel or
Especially around
the
Shack,
edge of
too.
a car, yeah, or a rock or something like that. So I'm glad they took that feedback. So low obstacles. So it's possible to bump into some small objects such as piles of hay or carcasses. Since these objects were so small, it was possible that you could bump into them without even seeing them, leading to some frustrating moments. Also, with the way the map is colored as well, it's very reddish and like yellowy undertones. So a lot of times you just don't see these objects. So we've done a pass on these sort of objects to ensure that anything which might block your path is clearly visible. In most cases, making them taller so they're easier to see, which is good. So hopefully that will make chasing easier on both sides. Size and layout. So the Shatter Squared is among the largest maps in the game, and contrary to its name, it isn't even a square. It's a rectangle.
Fail.
The size of the map can make patrolling a little difficult. To help with that, we have reduced the size of the map, turning it into a proper square in the process, and the positions of some titles have been readjusted as a result. So it'll be interesting to see because it is a very big map, and I think even as a survivor, it can be hard to navigate. You can get a little lost as well. That would be nicer to have a smaller area. Line of sight. So most obstacles in the map tend to be fairly low, making it quite easy for killers to spot survivors at long ranges and difficult for stealthy killers to sneak up on survivors. To break these long line of sight lines, we have rearranged some tiles to limit how far you're able to see from any given point. And this is something I know the ladies and I have talked about on this map, how it's so easy to see everything and it sometimes is hard to hide. So I'm glad they took that into account. And then navigation, last but not least, we have made various changes to make the map easier to navigate. This includes making it clear which objects can be walked on and which will block your path, which was also an issue. We've had many times where we thought we could run through something and we couldn't on
It's
this map.
annoying.
So overall I think there are positive changes. Does anyone have anything they want to add to this?
I wish they were changing the coloration of it
Yeah.
Yes.
to not be so red. I don't know why it's so
Very
Yeah.
red.
sepia red tones. Yeah.
I mean, it has nothing to do with like the layout. Though, didn't they just add the high walls? They just added that like an
Hmm.
update 2 years ago.
I
So they
believe
do
so.
have some higher walls. There does need to be more obstacles because you shouldn't be able to like look across and see the opposite corner of the map. If that's just my
Jeez.
opinion. Like, because it's like a big dead zone, right? So if you're going
Yeah.
against like Huntress or something, like you have to basically go along the edge of the map. I feel like it's hard to cut through the middle sometimes.
Hmm.
So I think this is good. Hopefully it's a good change. It all sounds good. I just hate the color of the map.
I do too.
I think it sometimes colors make it really hard to see.
Yes, it makes it hard to
Um,
distinguish things, especially
mhm,
when, as killer, you see everything's aura in red, by the
mhm.
way. The gems are
Yeah.
red. I mean, hooks are red unless you're running like scourge hooks. You know, unless you're running certain perks, everything's red. Survivors are highlighted in red when you run like barbecue and lethal. So that's why I feel like it's a weird thing. I know this is not totally on topic, but you know, you could tweak this while you tweak the map
There you
behavior.
go.
Just make it a neutral. It could just be neutral. I don't know why it's so red.
I guess maybe
I guess
because
because of
of
all
the story,
all the blood the knight
all the
shed.
blood. I almost feel like it's supposed to be like like a dawn, like time frame, like
Mm-hmm.
oh,
It's
that whole like
golden hour.
blood dawn thing. But I do agree. I know they've toned it down once, but I agree with them
Yeah.
toning down again. Because also, if you use filters to change stuff in the game, gasp, like some of us like to do just to
Cheating.
make things easier to
Gosh.
see, because I'm blind and the darkness doesn't help.
You're fine.
Uh, I always have to adjust for this map because it just makes everything crazy. Morbid, did you have any thoughts?
So, Shattered Square. I don't know if I have any feedback on this map, only because I feel like it's never in the rotation.
Mhm.
That's kind of what I have. I do agree with everything that you guys said. I'm not a huge fan of the color. And especially when everything turns red, like if somebody gets hooked or you finish a gen, it kind of blends into the background.
Mhm. Oh, hopefully they'll make changes in the future,
Yeah,
but
so we'll see.
we'll see. We'll see. We do have another map to talk about. The MacMillan Estate little realm is getting a rework too. It says our work on maps doesn't stop with the Shatter Square. The entire MacMillan Estate realm is being expanded. So each map in the realm has received a second alternate version. So that means, say, the next time you're loading into the suffocation pit, for example, things might be a little different. The trademark mine shaft will still be there, but it may be in a different spot. And the shape and layout of the map might also be slightly different as well. They saying the goal with these variants is to add more variety to existing maps without changing unique properties that sets them apart, such as their size, a bottleneck or checkpoint that separates either side of the map, and so on.
Hmm.
So that'd be interesting as well. So for those that don't know the MacMillan Estate, the maps it covers are the Coal Tower, Groaning Storehouse, Ironworks of Misery, Shelter Woods, where Lady Voldemort lives, and the Suffocation Pit. And they're actually going to be relating to someone else who's going to be getting an update, our beloved Trapper, which we'll be getting to shortly. The MacMillan Estate are his maps as well. So any thoughts on the variants being added? Mocking?
Yeah, so I just now paid attention to this because I only skimmed it earlier. So yeah, suffocation pit getting changed would be good because that is the map that's basically like an eye,
Mm-hmm.
where you have the two ends and in the middle. Be good to see some different variations of some of these maps. Some of the maps I feel are pretty fair with MacMillan. Yeah, definitely suffocation pit could use a change at the very least. It's just interesting that they're adding more to this realm and not to other realms. Maybe they're going to slowly go through. This is like their map rework 2.0 because they've gone through and touched all the maps. But then that means, so there's, is it 5?
Mm-hmm. 5.
So then there'll be 10,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Oh, wow.
If it's just a double, if they're just doing a second alternate. So there's going to be like 10 different versions of MacMillan maps. So that'll be interesting. And we'll see that. I'm curious if they'll do other realms next.
I don't hate either because we never got like an actual new map with a skull merchant. They just changed the shelter woods, so it'd be nice to just have a bit, like
I wonder if they're going to put the
another
old
variant of
tree
that as
one,
well. Right?
put the old
I
one back
loved
Put the
in
that
tree in
one.
there.
with the tree in the
Yeah,
middle. We don't
that'd be interesting.
need her map. Okay, we don't
We don't need her.
we don't need to be reminded that she exists. Even though she has a pretty cush, penthouse in the woods for some reason
Yeah.
with wine. We do like the wine up there. It's very nice.
You can also hide up there, and a lot of times killers don't know it. They don't ever bother going up there unless they're
No.
chasing you either. But yeah, how about you, Morbid? Any thoughts on the additional maps to the Macmillan Estate realm?
Well, while I would love a new map specifically for like Korea or something, just because we have a K-pop killer,
Yeah.
I do agree that, or yes, agree with you guys that having alternatives is better than nothing,
Mm.
especially if you keep getting like the same map over and over again on some nights. At least there'll be some variety. So hopefully that changes gameplay a little bit. And I guess we'll see how it goes and what's changed because it's going to be interesting, like what's going to be in different spots or
Hmm.
that kind of thing. So,
Especially since I feel like these maps are super well known as well. And
Mm-hmm.
nice to have some variety.
Yeah, because they're
so
like the
whenever,
oldest one,
Yeah.
like one of
oh,
the
yeah.
oldest realms. It's like Holdwin and MacMillan were like the first ones, I believe so.
First ones, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Coldwind was the first one that they reworked, maybe?
Well, isn't the cold one the farm?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah, they did.
hillbillies.
They did. Yeah, so they
They
did
have
recently rework. You know, some of
Because it
them
was
making
like the
entire dead
first,
zones.
well,
yeah, I think
they've
it
redone
was
Cold
like
One
the
twice, I
first,
think.
Yeah.
yeah, because it was like the first big like overhaul that they did on maps.
Yeah, because they
And
made it
then,
Yeah.
daytime.
yeah, I remember because we were like, what is this? Why is it so
This
bright?
is not Texas Chainsaw. Stop this.
Yeah. And then, yeah, they had to fix dead zones and whatnot. So I think it's cool that they're trying to like rework things and give them new life, but also give us a map for other
For
people.
Trickster.
For
We still
Trickster and
want one.
Eugen.
And yeah,
I want a trickster map so badly.
I know.
I,
Because
I
they
think
had
we
the
all do.
backdrop that was so beautiful when he
Hmm.
I
came
know.
out. And
It
he
was
had the
so
cool trailer.
cool.
Like, no one plays him, but everything else about him is great. And
Well, we just
Eugen is
want the
great.
map.
Lots of people play Eugen. So
Yes, she is
she has like the best cosmetics. Give her a backdrop to have her, show off all her wonderful
yeah, I want
cosmetics.
to show off my hot
Exactly.
pink bodysuit cosmetic on a freaking stage behavior.
Hmm.
Yep.
All right, let's move forward. So there were some killer tweaks as well. And you know what? Since we're talking about MacMillan, let's talk about Evan MacMillan, our beloved trapper. For most people, when they start the game, trapper is normally one of the first killers that you play. Because of that behavior, states like they like to keep them as simple, straightforward as possible. Essentially, see a trap, set a trap. The trapper already performs fairly well, and we don't want to throw off that balance too much. So, that said, in higher end matches, the trapper can struggle to keep up, which I know is a point that many DVD players have made. And so, to assist in that, they're making a few changes. Trapper will now have 8 bear traps, will now spawn on the map. So, it was 6, and the trap will receive a 7.5% haste effect after setting a bear trap. So they said we expect these changes to have a minimal impact in lower skill matches where the trapper is already performing well, but provide a nice boost to higher end players who know how to take advantage of them. Additional bear trap will help ensure that they have an adequate supply, particularly on larger maps. And the added haste effect can help close the gap in case survivors catch on and begin running away while you set them. I'm going to pass it over to Mocking, who does a very awesome trapper
I love
play,
Trapper.
and I know you love him.
I
So, what do
love
you think
him.
about this?
I love this change. I am
Hmm.
interested, so him getting a haste effect. I believe there's an
Hmm.
add-on that already does that. But yeah, when I play Trapper, he does struggle in high
Hmm.
end against good survivors. Like I pretty much have to run some form of iridescent add-ons where whether it's the traps open every 30 seconds, which
Hmm.
saved my day last week. At the exit gate it opened and they were trapped. It was so good. Yeah, having more traps is always good. Haste is good. I don't feel like this is a huge change, so I don't think anyone's
Hmm.
gonna be like super upset. So, and they're not mentioning anything about like his add-on, so it's just basically more traps, and he has a haste effect, which I'm curious if they'll change the add-on because there is an add-on I believe for haste after setting a trap.
Hmm.
But I think these are good changes. So yeah,
And I'll give it over to Morbid, who plays a higher end survivor, having gone against trappers that you have run the rings around. What do you think about this?
I think this is good. It's kind of gives him a boost. Like we
Hmm.
said, he's an older, one of the original killers, and I think kind of giving him some new life and some new changes is going to bring him kind of higher up in the tiers, and hopefully more people will play him because I do really like going against him.
Hmm.
He's a cool killer, and I love his traps. Mostly when I take them down, but yeah, he's a cool killer. So I'm kind of glad that they're going back to the original and not just updating the newer killers that we have.
Hmm.
when will they update his Mori? My question: when will they
For
Oh my
update his
God, yes,
Mori?
real. Yes.
That's the
Give
next
him a
piece
new
of love he
Maury.
needs is a new
yeah,
Mori.
he definitely needs some new stuff.
And his own chase music.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe
he
they'll have that. Maybe they
does.
just didn't mention it because you know how they are with their notes. We talked about that.
We're gonna log into PTB, new Mori, new chase music, new perks.
Well, because I think when they've reworked killers in the past, they don't always announce the chase music changes. It's just like you go and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, look, make a
What's
new
this?
tune.
Who am I going against? I think this is a good change in general. I like the fact that there's going to be extra traps because when you're playing them, I bring maps a lot, guys, so I can get my totems and you can see killer items. So you see the traps. There's always those traps that are like way out of where you're going to
Mm-hmm.
go to get them anyways. So hopefully having those extra means that the killer will have some closer and be able to, put them in strategic places, more spread out across the map. Because I feel like when they do that, you tend to get in them more. I know if there's a trap somewhere on the map, I'm gonna find it. I'm always in traps. We'll be playing and then I'll get in a trap and Morbid or Mocking be like, again, we just got you out.
And I better not hear
Like I didn't want.
anyone complain about like Basement Trapper, which I don't play Basement Trapper unless the survivors hand it to me, basically. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you
Yeah.
want to go down by basement?
Yeah, I mean,
But
for the
like,
most part, the biggest thing when someone's a basement trapper is just to not be by the
yeah,
basement. It ruins their whole gameplay.
yeah.
If you're
And
just not there.
and Trapper can only hold so many traps
Hmm.
depending on what add-on. So you can't hold like
Hmm.
8 traps at a time.
Hmm.
So
True.
he can only hold 3 with an add-on, I believe,
I
2 or
think
3.
so.
So normally it's 2. You can make it more. I think it's good.
I agree. All right. So we also have some changes for the Huntress and the Trickster. It says for both these killers, reloading your projectiles at a locker is a must. However, doing so gives survivors a big head start to run away and gain some distance. For this reason, many Huntress and Trickster players will run add-ons or perks like Iron Maiden to reduce their reload time. To improve quality of life and reduce reliance on these perks and add-ons, we have reduced the reload time for each killer to 3 seconds, so it was 4. I don't see that being a huge change, a
Mm,
second. I don't know if
mm,
anyone really has a difference of opinion.
no. I'm
Um,
curious if they'll change any of like the add-ons. I
the
know
add-ons,
Trickster has a
yeah,
reload add-on that I run with Iron Maiden and he reloads super fast.
super fast.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if
Um,
they'll nerf like any of the add-ons or not. But
we'll probably
I
have to
think they're
see.
just trying to push people to use different builds and loads, and
Hmm.
because like almost every huntress we go against plays Iron Maiden because they want to hatch it really fast.
Yeah, but it
True.
doesn't stop us from going into lockers, so I will still go into that locker. YOLO.
Yeah.
Deathslinger. So speaking of reloads, the Deathslinger will also find himself reloading very frequently. Because of this, add-ons which reduce his reload time see a lot of use. To
Mm-hmm.
make these add-ons less essential, we have taken part of the effect of the Warden's Key add-on and incorporated it into the base kit and adjusted, I guess, the add-on accordingly. It says the Deathslinger now reloads in 2.6 seconds by default, and it was 2.75. And it says, second, we have increased the movement speed bonus while aiming down sights for both the Jaw Smasher and Wanted Poster add-ons to 1.5 and 1.5% and 3% respectively. So it was originally 1% and 2.5% to make them more interesting choices to consider. That one they did talk about. They did nerf those add-ons. Oh, Mocking. Any thoughts on the Deathslinger?
Good change because I
Good
run
change.
the reload add-on
Yeah.
usually because if you're chasing survivors you
Hmm.
don't want them to get too much distance, right? So that's why you run the reload add-on because if you hit them once and of course then they're in deep wounds and they run off with their speed boost, you want to be able to catch them and you need to reload fast. So
Hmm.
this makes sense. And I think what we're seeing with these killer changes, and I know we got like one more, is that it seems like they're trying to push people to use different add-ons and different perks. Because I'm
Hmm.
guessing these are like add-ons in their spreadsheet, that massive spreadsheet of
The
like,
ones that no one uses,
when they did the
or the ones
hillbilly
that people
change, they
use a
tried to do
lot.
that.
Yeah.
Like the doomed engravings when they tried to do that. But like these are good changes where they're like, everyone's running these for a reason.
Hmm.
And that might just be because the killer needs a boost.
All right, so we do have one more killer to talk about, the Legion. It says, lastly, we've adjusted the Legion's BFFs add-on. This add-on granted a 4% movement speed increase when the gates are powered as long as the killer managed to land enough feral frenzy strikes during the match. Since this effect needed to be earned is only active during the very end of the match, we are increasing the movement speed bonus to 6% to make it more impactful. I already don't like how fast Legion can move.
But this is only an
Agreed.
end game. Okay, I've never read
I
this add-on, I
know.
don't think. But like it's only an end game. If he has to
Yeah,
earn it,
I get it.
then then yeah.
then yeah.
I don't know. It's one add-on. Like, it's not his overall power, so
We'll give it to you, Legion.
I guess we'll give it to you. I mean, I don't think I've ever ran this add-on, to be
We'll let him
honest.
have a freebie.
Yeah, we'll let you
I'll
have
start
it. We'll
running it
find out.
now. I'll let y'all know.
Mocking will do the research. We'll give
All
you
right,
an
keep
update
us
later.
posted.
And I missed some stuff. So we had some perks that had some small tweaks.
Mhm.
So furtive chase, which is a ghost perk, if I'm correct.
Yes, Ghosty.
It says furtive chase is one of the lesser used killer perks, providing a way to switch obsessions throughout the match and reduce your terror radius during a chase. To give this perk a slight boost, we are increasing the terror radius reduction for each token to 5 meters, was 4 meters for a maximum of 20 meters. Let me read. So the current description for this perk is you lurk in the shadows, eliminating your victims one by one. Each time you hook your obsession, you gain 1 token up to a maximum of 4 tokens if you have it up to tier 3. Reduces your terror radius while chasing a survivor by 5 meters per token. When the obsession is rescued from a hook, the rescuer will become the new obsession, and you can only be obsessed with one survivor at a time. I can see why it's one of the less used.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't
So
run this.
yeah, I feel like there's other perks that can do similar things better. So this is where
Nemesis.
there's this is
Oh,
where their
the
spreadsheet
Nemesis
comes
perk,
in, where they're trying to fix stuff.
not the killer.
And then yeah,
Not the killer,
the
the
perk, not the
perk,
killer.
the only perk. Because the reason to
Yes.
run this is like if you're doing like rift challenges, like you need to
Mhm.
hook your obsession, and you need to change the obsessions.
Mhm.
There's one reason to run this perk, but otherwise I would just run Nemesis because the Nemesis
Yeah.
they become oblivious. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
Maybe it'll be
see.
interesting on like Myers. Because Myers like the
Well,
Notarius.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
I don't know. I don't know how it would play with like monitor abuse and stuff.
Maybe we have to test it out, do some kill your friend matches and
Hmm.
see builds and stuff with it. But another perk is background player. So that is a Renato survivor perk. This perk allows you to sprint very quickly when the killer picks up another survivor, creating an opportunity to get into position for a save. Not only is the perk highly situational, but it leaves you exhausted, which could hinder you if you're chased shortly after. To make this perk meaningful when it activates, we are increasing the duration of the speed move to 5 seconds. It was 4 seconds. I've run this perk. Again, it's very situational, but if you are trying to break hooks or do flashbangs or do pallet saves, it's very useful. So I think that extra second could work in
Yeah.
a survivor's favor for sure.
Yeah. Or flashlight saves. Oh, wait.
Oh, wait.
oh, we can't do that.
What's a flashlight? There's flashlights in Dead by Daylight? What?
It has been nice as a killer not have to worry about that. Though I did have someone
Only
flashbang save
only if
yesterday,
you make
so.
it into the secret room on
Oh,
the
Nostromo.
Nostromo map.
If you want a
Yes.
flashlight, Nostromo has one.
Yeah, the secret room. There's still a flashlight
Yeah.
there.
If you want
But
to go
I
get
will
banned.
say, yeah, I'm sure the killer that we blasted mine 7 times the other night wasn't very happy with us. We didn't have a
Yeah,
flashlight. What else are we supposed to do?
I
It's
don't
like
think
You
so.
stun or
had to
blind the
blind
killer.
to stutter blind the killer. So, okay, let's talk about the big change, which is Lady Voldemort, aka the Skull Merchant, is having basically a complete rework of her power. I'm going to pass that on over to Mocking so you can let us know what her power currently is, and then I'll read through the changes.
Yes. So I'm basically just gonna read from the wiki because
Do
you know
it.
what?
There you go.
None of us own Skull Merchant.
Mhm.
I only played her in PTV when she came out, and she had that kind of effect on us, right?
Mhm.
But she's right now, how she currently is, she starts with the trial with 4 drones, and the survivors are trackable by her radar, and the Skull Merchant is granting a growing haste status effect when each survivor has a tracker. So like one trackable survivor is 3%, 2 is 5, 3 is 6, and 4 is 7%. So she gets faster as
Mhm.
more people take the claw traps. So she can deploy drones around the map, around her favorite region. So there's active mode. The deployed drone automatically enters active mode after a short boot up sequence, and it creates a circular detection zone around it. And players inside the detection zone experience the following effects, and it's the lock-on progress. So that's the meter that fills up around your survivor icon. And the skull merchant is undetectable in the detection zones, and it lasts for 2 seconds after she leaves the detection zone. Then the drones can switch from active to scouting, and scouting mode is when the drone carries out a sweeping scan of its surroundings by emitting 2 laser beams. And if the survivor crosses the laser beam or enters its area of effect while having a claw trap attached to them, it immediately causes the drone to go to active mode. So you can walk up to the drone and without hitting the lasers and hack it as a survivor. So basically you gotta avoid the lasers. Avoid the lasers to hack it. Let's see. And then the lock-on effect, which we kind of talked about, is where it builds up, and if that meter does fill up for the survivor, the killer sees the killer instinct in the detection zone. So that's the red pulsing kind of heartbeat, and the survivor becomes exposed for 60 seconds. Yeah, it says it lingers 60 seconds after leaving the detection zone. So I guess it doesn't stop until they leave. So this is why 3-gen is so popular. And then the other part of it, when Skull Merchant has her radar, right? She's looking at her little, iPad, and she can see the survivors with the claw trap, and it tells her apparently the elevation the survivor's on. So has a square for the same, or there's little triangles up and down for the survivor is above or below you if you're on a multi-floor, multi-floor map. And then she can also recall drones, and she can activate the drones from scouting to active. Survivors, they can hack the drones, but when they do that, they get a claw trap. And then that's where the Skull Merchant can track them. And if the survivor fails to hack the drone, it enters active mode and causes the survivor to be locked on. And then when survivors have the claw trap, it has a battery life of 45 seconds. If you vault a pallet while wearing a claw trap, the pallet breaks, but it destroys the claw trap. So I think that's pretty much her power right now. She's the 3-gen queen because of her drones. And then if you do get all the drones, then she just puts them at the exit gate. But you're not going to get there. Just letting you know.
But don't worry, that's
gonna be
not even important.
Okay.
It's just who's gonna last the longest match is basically how all our Skull Merchant matches have pretty much been. So changes to Skull Merchant. So in the notes it says, it's been a while since the sound of drones first filled the entity's realm. Yes, how we love that sound so much.
Yay.
Since then, the Skull Merchant's eyes in the sky have largely been used as quote unquote eyes on the generators, leading to some very long matches. In this update, we're overhauling the Skull Merchant's drones to reduce their effectiveness in defending generators while improving their strength in a chase. I still think it's so cute that Behavior thinks that these drones are going to be used for chase.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Summer
We'll see. You never know, right?
Let's read through it. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it says active zones, being the main culprit behind the Skull Merchant's ability to defend generators, are no more. On top of making survivors exposed, these zones provide the Skull Merchant with too much information on the survivors within them, allowing the killer to quickly react and chase them away. With active zones removed, the Skull Merchant's drones need a new way to lock on to survivors. Now, whenever a survivor is scanned by a drone's beams, they'll receive 1 stack of lock on. Upon reaching 3 stacks of lock on, the survivor will immediately receive a claw trap. However, avoiding a drone's scanners won't be easy thanks to the introduction of two new modes. So the eyes in the sky will now have two new modes, stealth mode and scouting mode. So in stealth mode, the drone's spinning beams will be invisible and the drone will be much quieter. Survivors will want to watch closely for lights on the drone itself to tell where the beams are so they can sneak up and disable it. In scouting mode, the drone's scan lines will be visible and rotate much faster, making them more difficult to approach or run by undetected. In either mode, the drone's scan lines will not detect a survivor who is stationary. So, big change, effectively preventing them from being used to guard generators. A survivor can interact with a drone in either state to disable it for 45 seconds, after which they will then return to stealth mode. So, let's talk about the claw trap. Survivors who end up with a claw trap will find themselves on the receiving end of the following effects. If they are healthy, they'll be instantly injured. If they are injured, they'll receive deep wounds. This will not grant the survivor a speed boost. The survivor suffers from the broken status effect until the trap is removed, and their location will be revealed on the killer's scanner for a short duration. Additionally, survivors with the claw trap who are scanned by one of the killer's drones will receive a 10% movement speed penalty for 6 seconds and are revealed to the killer with killer instinct on their location for 3 seconds. The claw trap's battery will expire and the trap will be removed automatically after 45 seconds. So, we also have some general quality of life updates. It says we've also made many adjustments across many aspects of the Skull Merchant to improve the way it feels to play as and against her. So the Skull Merchant now has 6 drones available, was 4. In our first episode, we mentioned how behavior doesn't know how to math. I'm not sure about their mathing now. We're going to have a 6th gen now, guys.
Well, I'm curious. Okay, something that's not in here is how big is the
The
radius?
radius.
If it's smaller, like a lot smaller,
And it's probably in
maybe.
meters.
Yeah. Then maybe I can see it. Again, I don't know. That's my only thought is the
Mhm.
radius for the zone is not very big.
Well, yeah, they don't tell us the actual I'm assuming it's going to be the same that it has been, but it does give distance. So the next thing is the skull merchant will now immediately become undetectable for 8 seconds after deploying a drone. So I guess it's no longer in the whole little active area, but when
Mm-hmm.
deployed, which I'm assuming is supposed to be if you're chasing and you're deploying your drone, you're undetectable. But it does say the minimum, oh my gosh, distance between drones is now 16 meters was 22 meters. So they're buffing that. Your ability to have drones kind of
Yeah,
side,
but
they can be closer.
well, keep going. They should have put these in a different order. The one about the
Yeah.
Hmm.
different floors is further on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
whether you
we'll
can
go through
stack.
these. Yeah. Since the killer's movement speed is no longer decreased when checking the scanner, lock on progress no longer decays. Drones can no longer be manually reactivated. Drones can now be placed above or below other drones deployed on different floors. Failing to hack a drone will now grant one stack of lock on instead of instantly locking on. And then the skull merchant's footsteps are now quieter, making her harder to track behind walls. So her hips are not gonna lie, but she's be quieter.
Well, she stomps loud for
she's
like a
she's
little I mean, she's
hmm
not a huge person.
Hey,
Like she's
those
stompy
boots were made
stomp.
for walking, okay?
Oh yeah, they are.
You can hear him across the map.
She has to shake her hips. Shakira, Shakira.
Maybe
Okay.
this will go into the next point.
Yeah, we have updated the Skull Merchant's chase music. Maybe she has to stomp to new chase music.
Maybe it's Shakira. Who knows?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Anyway, we have reviewed the Skull Merchant's add-ons, adjusting some and giving new effects to others, but they don't say what they've done. So I'm assuming in the PTB we'd be able to see that. So it says combine these changes push the Skull Merchant's drone in a more chase-oriented direction, or at least that's how behavior thinks it's going to be used, giving them more immediate consequences when they are triggered rather than slowly building over time. At the same time, her ability to defend generators for excessive lengths of time has also been reduced substantially. But again, she has more drones. Like I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to make her a chase-oriented killer and less of like a stationary one, like a patrolling killer. But I don't know if they'll be used like that. And it says we'll be keeping a close eye on these changes and making further adjustments as needed. That was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
For
So
sure.
I don't know, Mocking, what do you think?
I love how you asked me first. Like, I haven't
I
played
know.
her.
How do you feel?
I mean, I think okay. There's some positives. There are some
Mhm.
positive. You can't be exposed anymore. Big positive.
Yes.
Big positive because that's one of the big issues behind the whole 3 gen thing. Is not that if it was just Killer Instinct currently, that would be fine. But it's that you get exposed. And it seems like the drone will not go through floors anymore because at least that's how I interpret the point about they can be placed
Yeah.
above or below because people would place it like on some maps like in the basement or
Mhm.
like in
Okay.
Midwich in the court like the corners of the courtyard. Like if you put it in the corners of the courtyard, you can pretty much cover like all of Midwich. I think that's a plus. I just don't know. I want to know the radius of the
Mhm.
drones. That's the big question. I know you can put them closer together, which makes me think the radius is less,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I still have questions and I'm curious like how fast. Okay, what mode was it in? The the scouting mode. It says they move faster. The lasers move faster.
Mhm.
How fast? I have questions. I basically have a lot of questions at this point of like is this any better or not? Because if you get the claw trap, then you're injured. So like how hard or how is it going to be hard to like get through scouting mode? Like if you're trying to get to the gen or to
Mhm.
disable it, how hard? Like are we running urban and getting to it or like I feel like
Dude,
I feel
we're
like we're
gonna red light, green light that
that's
bitch. That's what
exactly
we're gonna
what I
do.
thought. I was just gonna say that. That's exactly what I thought when you said you stand still. Like we're gonna red light, green light all the way to this drown.
That's what I imagine. Or like full on Ocean's 11 under the lasers,
Oh my God, yes.
like a heist movie.
That's why we're gonna bring Urban and just like
Mhm.
slowly like inch our way. I mean, I think
Which
there's
would be
positives.
interesting.
I just have
Yeah.
questions. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I by reading this, I need to see it. Reading it, I can't tell if this is gonna be any better. If it's still gonna be annoying as hell.
Yeah, for sure.
What
Like,
about you?
yeah, Morbid. What do you got?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you got?
This one's hard because I feel like we don't get her as often. It's kind of like the other map for the night.
We DC.
I know, like when we do, it's either it's horrible and it's like
Horrible.
you just get through the game and you just pretend nothing happens.
Yeah, or it's like your rando. If we have randos, like they give up. Like
Yeah.
everyone
They
just
give
gives
up
up. Like
immediately.
it's like a skull
Yes.
merchant, and like even if we try, whether it's the three of us or we're in duos, it's like the other people give up. So then it's like, well, what can
Mhm.
Yeah, and then the
we do?
game just goes on forever. What I remember one of the games we did play, probably one of the last times we've played against her, we did have a rando that was pretty good at going in and getting rid of the drones. And I was trying to help her, but I did get exposed a lot. So I do agree that that's going to be a good thing where the exposure is pretty much gone, right? So
Hmm.
you're able to go in and actually get rid of the stupid drone. So if they are camping them on gens and trying to keep you from moving the game on in progression. Hopefully that'll be a positive change. I'm with you guys on the distance. That's going to be one
Mhm.
of those we have to see, in PTB. I don't know what their thoughts were for the drones, like adding 2 more. I don't know if they thought, oh, well, if there's smaller radiuses, you need extras. It's like, wait a minute. Whose idea was
Mm.
this?
I think they really are expecting Skull Merchant to deploy these in chase only
And be undetectable.
and be undetectable is
Hmm.
what I'm kind of reading it as.
Yeah. If they people do use it in Chase, I'm interested to see how that works. I don't know if anyone's really ever used them in Chase, or is this a new thing? It's hard because I don't go against this skull
It's
merchant.
new.
No, it's new. I mean, for the most part, it's stationary. Like Skull
Oh, that's
Merchant
true.
puts
Yeah,
up
yeah.
her traps, uses her radars, expecting you to either stick gen and get exposed, chasing you off because she can see where you are the whole time.
Exactly, yeah.
Um, all of this stuff with especially the new effects that happen to survivors in regards to like the wounds, like getting injured and deep wounds and not being able to heal yourself. Those are all things that essentially you would try to do if you were in chase,
Mhm.
like trying to heal yourself and stuff like that.
That makes sense. I do like that. Well, it says that they can no longer be manually reactivated, so I guess it's good that they kind of lose that ability. I think it would be good for the drones to be more in check. I do think that they've gone way overboard and they kind of have their own, like, basically the AI is becoming sentient and they're like, we can
Hmm.
take over the entire map and screw all these people.
They already do
Yeah.
with four.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, with 4. So, I guess we'll see. I have to go back and listen to the chase music because I don't know what they would change about it.
Very
Yeah.
noticeable, but I guess
That
we'll see.
makes me not confused, but like, what was wrong with it?
I
It
do
was
have,
very robotic.
yeah.
Was okay.
I wonder if this is going to incentivize survivors to play more injured if they get the claw trap. And I know there
Ah,
are killer players and content creators that already hate made for this. And I feel like
Hmm.
this is like going to be an incentive to run made for this resilience kind of stuff. I mean, people are already running it. So, because you might as
yeah.
well just stay injured and then not care about the lasers, basically.
Hmm. Kind of like
Mhm.
going up against Legion, you might as well just
Mm-hmm.
stay injured.
Yeah.
Um,
Again, like I don't know how hard it is going to be to get past the lasers. Like if it's super hard, I'm looking at this scouting mode. Sorry, they changed the name, so now I'm having
mhm.
to look. The scouting mode. If it's really hard, then yeah, you might as well just stay injured and not care,
Or
right?
play red light, green light.
Yeah, play red like green right, or like
If all
aggressive
else
players.
fails.
Aggressive players who are good at lipping are just going to take the claw trap. And if you're on a team, someone can take her attention with the claw trap and do the other gens, you know.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
definitely making her weaker. I just don't know how weak. I think is the question. There's lots of questions because there's no like radius. There's not. I feel there's a lot of information here, and I feel like it's not enough information to for me to form a good opinion on how she's going to be.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to find out.
I would love if we wake up tomorrow, PTB comes out, and they changed her to Predator.
We still secretly think she's supposed to be Predator.
Just,
They were like,
just
just kidding,
delete.
guys.
It'll be like they deleted her. People be. I'd rather get regioned by Predator. Okay, like just and change to Mori to be better. But there we go. Skull merchants.
Yeah, yeah.
Eh.
I do have to say that with the whole chase aspect, chase would be so much better with the perk that I have thought of for our second segment.
Part 2 now.
Part
Segue.
2. So, one of our amazing listeners, and I'm probably going to butcher your name. It's a man, EG64, did a comment on our YouTube video and said, how they appreciate sharing the socials, so you guys know where to find us now, and wanted us to do an episode about what killers, survivors we want in the game, and abilities and perks. One of the perks I would like in the game, since we're talking about Chase and Skull Merchant and how there's a lot of killers are incentive now to run injured. I would love a perk where for if you're being chased, every time a gin is completed, you get stacked on speed boost. Because we've talked about how kind of when you're being chased and you're running, especially if you run for 3, 4 gens, you're having to deal with bloodlust and stuff. So I would love a perk where for each gen you complete, I guess you get a stack and you run faster. So that is one of the perks I thought of. Thoughts?
I like so this goes back to the discussion. There was a discussion I don't know how long ago about
Hmm.
that you should get blood points for gens completed if you're in chase.
Hmm.
Because if you're running the killer for 3, 4, 5 gens, you don't
Mm,
get a lot
true.
of blood points.
Hmm.
Like you get chase, but you don't do you don't do any objective. You don't do any altruism. And then, but also I like your idea because if you get faster, that's gonna give the killer incentive to leave you, right?
To leave you.
Like
Hmm.
all these gens are popping. And if they don't leave you, then they're an idiot and they're going to lose the game anyways. And then they might face camp you and you might unhook yourself with the anti-face camping. I don't know. Or they will still camp you in game is there. But I mean, like, then they'd get 1 kill. Like, they still lose because killers have to learn to not be so, like, focused on a single survivor. Like, there's a whole map. You have gens. There's other stuff you need to do. If you can't catch a survivor, it's like, it's having the awareness of when to leave a survivor. Do you commit to the chase or not? And if you realize they're really good and you, like, I better not run them at shack kind of stuff, then you need to leave and go after the weaker survivors. That's what you need to do.
It could be like an anti-tunneling perk too, if you're able to keep them running for a little bit as gens are popping.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of mine, but I'll pass it on to you guys and we can come back to more later because I have an epic franchise I want in there.
So are we saving you for last? Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
You
Like, I
wanna
want to crush it.
you want to go next, Morbid? I feel like mine are not up to par, but
So, no, you're totally fine because I don't really have many perks. I just thought of kind of like, I guess, ideas of who I would want. Like, most of mine
Same.
are pretty much all original characters, and then I have one franchise that I would love to see. So I can just do like one of my killers that I came up with. And his name, well, I guess it would be a guy. I don't really know like what their gender would be. I just imagined a librarian and I would love them to be called the Tome Keeper. And so basically they read a forbidden tome with unspeakable power and got thrown into the fog. I don't know, I thought of like a tall kind of like person wearing like dusty robes and they have like bony fingers and they hold like an ancient book. And some of those books might be bound in human flesh and bone. We don't know because they're dark and evil. So I will admit, I did use ChatGPT for some of this because it's just very addicting. And perks they came up with were meh. They were not that great. But some of their abilities that they came up with, especially for this Tome Keeper one, was pretty cool. And they called it Forbidden Lore, and the Tome Keeper's power revolves around their cursed knowledge. They can open and read cursed books scattered around the map, gaining access to deadly knowledge. The books are hidden to the survivors, and only the Tome Keeper can interact with them. When reading a cursed book, the Tome Keeper can choose from a variety of deadly abilities, such as spawning illusory traps. That is a big word, ChatGPT. Creating blinding flashes of light, or even summoning spectral tomes to chase and attack survivors, which I thought would be kind of funny because you're running and there's like a book trying to kill you. So it's fun. Each ability consumes the cursed book, and the Tome Keeper must find more books to continue using their power. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. The perks, they were okay. None of them were super inventive. They're all pretty much ones that are in the game as of now. Mostly a lot of aura reading perks, and you gain tokens so you can like run faster and that kind of thing. But I've always thought of like a dark librarian in the game, and I just think it would be so cool. And it's kind of something I feel like they haven't done really. So I would love for them to kind of delve more into the original realm or original thought realm, but maybe not the skull merchant realm. Let's forget that and just do a better one because that'd be awesome.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it too.
You know what it makes me think of is like there's been questions about where the observer went, like if they could do something like that with the observer, because that kind of falls into his story and like being the holder and keeper of like ancient knowledge and like what happened if maybe he got sucked in and was evil, like. And
especially
kind
all
of
the tomes.
He met the tome person.
Yeah,
exactly. This person, he's like, it's like Ghostbusters. The gatekeeper and the keymaster come together, and the tome keeper could be the one that gave him all of his information. Oh my God, DVD should just hire me right now.
These are all our ideas. Don't take them.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Next chapter.
If you do, I wish to be compensated.
Next chapter, Tome Keeper.
Actually, we know it takes them 12 months, so expect it in a year.
Oh, could you imagine though a map for this? Like, oh my God, it would just be like I could just imagine like a dark, creepy library, which I know they have in
Eerie.
The
Eerie has
Eerie.
a
But
Erie.
it's not
and a little
creepy.
bit
It's
of
beautiful.
Midwich. Midwich
Yeah,
has
Mhm.
a
Midwich too.
small room, one room library. Like we just need a whole
Uh,
map of books. Okay, a
yeah, but like,
library and books
Mhm.
exactly. Like, I don't
and
know. I could just imagine like
secret
a
hideaways.
school or like a monastery maybe because they used to make a
Ooh,
lot of illuminated books there. I don't know. I feel like you could go really far with this idea and it would be cool because we all love reading and writing in this
Mhm.
podcast. So
mm-hmm.
it would be right up our alley.
Yes, yes.
All right. So how about you, Mocking? Do you have any
Oh,
ideas for us?
I don't. I feel like mine aren't very original. I do have stuff I would love to see in this game, and
Mhm.
I would really
No,
like
that's
if
okay.
DBD went more classic, like classic vampire,
Yes.
Yes.
classic werewolf, classic even a
Yes.
mummy.
Because I
You will
had a
like this.
Yes.
werewolf. Hmm.
Yeah, like so classic. But I had trouble like thinking of powers because like there's so many powers already in the game, like dashing and stuff. I was like,
Hmm.
so like, but I really would love like a vampire and like a classic look. Like you can have your cosmetics for your modern, look of a vampire, but I would love like the classic black cape and
Mhm.
pale skin and all that. And I'm not sure what the power would be for the vampire. Maybe transforming, turning into bats in some way and traveling through the map that way, or
That'd be
hiding that
cool.
way. Like you could perch somewhere as a bat.
Mhm.
Werewolf, there has to be a howl involved in some way. And
Heck
the
yeah.
trouble
Yeah.
the trouble I had with werewolf though, I was trying to think how he to make him different than like Doctor, because how I kind of see it is like he would howl and like either see like Doctor already like reveals you in a way, like you scream like, but maybe if the radius isn't so big, maybe slows survivors down. So like in chase you would howl and affect
Okay.
survivors. And then I would really love a mummy. This would be a morbid
Mhm.
vein too, because I know what you
Yes.
love.
Pyramid map?
Oh my
Yes,
Oh
God.
yes,
my
the
god,
pyramid.
yes.
Yes,
There could be
give.
an archaeology like survivor. Oh my God.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, but pyramids and like power. I would love if they incorporated like a curse of some kind, and
Mhm.
maybe he could curse like objects or gens, but it's like limited time, like not Skull Merchant 3 genning, but like kind of
Mhm.
like plague like throws up on a gen, like but maybe
Okay,
there's a
yeah.
way to remove the curse. Maybe you have to go get maybe there's a book. I don't know. I'm thinking of the mummy,
Mhm.
like
Right.
don't read from the book.
Or
Um
the
you gotta read
little
from the right book.
vials
Canobic
they have.
jars and stuff.
Yeah, the jars.
Yeah, the jars.
Yeah. So I just there's some just classic stuff I wish they would do. Like just go full on
Yeah.
classic. It doesn't I don't feel like it needs to be super fancy or super complicated on some of their killers. Just give us the classic horror icons.
Yeah, for
Because I
sure.
know they're all focused on getting like the license icons. Like I know eventually maybe someday they'll get Jason. I know Jason's on their list. It's like one of the last ones on their list. But I would like some
I
like classic horror.
yeah, I had the same thought when I was working on this. I was like, we need like the classic monsters from
Mhm.
Mhm.
Universal, and I had one of mine that was listed was a werewolf because I was like, that'd be so cool if like the
Mhm.
phases of the moon like
Ooh.
changed his abilities, I
Oh,
guess.
that's cool.
Kind of the way that creepy one. God, what is the name of the killer? The one that goes into darkness.
Dredge.
Mhm. Dredge?
The Dredge. Why can't I not think of his name?
Because we
Like,
don't like him and we don't go against him
yes,
Yeah.
enough.
kind of like the Dredge. Like you go into different, like I guess, like phases, like a new moon or a full moon, and it's
The
just
power
it lasts
changes.
for like 10 seconds or 20 seconds or something. And I just think that would be kind of cool to do for a werewolf.
So
But I
would
definitely agree.
so would you start out as a human and then turn into a wolf?
Ooh.
Oh,
Which
maybe
would
with
be
the
a fun
moon phases,
transformation
it changes.
transformation.
That would be cool. Like, yeah, if you're like a human in the beginning, and then yeah, when you go into like the moon phases, you
Mhm.
turn into a werewolf and you get like enhanced speed or something,
Yeah.
or that would be really
I just want
cool.
to see a cool transformation into a
Yeah.
werewolf.
Yes. And I
It'd be
totally thought
interesting.
of Underworld
Yeah.
the whole time I was
Oh, I
typing
love
these things.
Underworld.
You could
Heck
just bring
yeah.
Underworld in too. That would
Let's
be a
bring
good
Underworld
license.
in. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, let's
I
just do
would
it.
play as
Can we do
Celine.
that? Yeah,
Yeah. That'd be
totally.
so cool.
I had one license on my wish list
Mhm.
too.
Yay.
And that is, I would love to see the Big Daddy from BioShock in the game.
Ooh.
I played
Yes.
BioShock. Was it last year? I played it for the first time last year, and it is an amazing game. If you haven't played BioShock, go play it. It
Yes.
is the best, even though it's like a older game. It is so good. The story is so good. The atmosphere, like a map there would be fantastic because it's like underwater, this underwater city and all that. So I love BioShock. And then like you could have the little sisters roaming around and
Mm.
kind of different than the Nemesis zombies. Like maybe they
Mhm.
just alert the Big Daddy because they're not really like fighters, the little
Mhm.
sisters, but they could act as like an alarm for the Big Daddy of where to go. And maybe they would have different effects on the survivor. Like if you're too close to them, maybe blindness or you're oblivious or something because they're yelling out for the Big Daddy. But
I
I love
just love how
BioShock.
many times you said Big Daddy.
Oh, I know. Me too.
Well, that's what he's called because he takes care of the little sisters.
Yeah.
That's a
So,
good franchise. I didn't even think of that. That's no, I like that.
oh, but yeah, that's my license wish list killer. I do have one for Survivor, but I don't know
Awesome.
if we're doing Survivor separate or how are we doing
No,
this?
go ahead. Go ahead. If you got Survivor, go ahead and do it.
I want Dewey from Scream in this game.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Oh my
I
God.
miss Dewey.
I do too.
Yeah.
Just bring him into
He's
the realm, and he could have some good perks that I didn't come up with perks, but like I could see his perks being like for helping other people, so
Mhm.
helping other survivors, like so. Yes, I miss Dewey. I'm sad about Dewey
yeah,
still in Scream
he's
5.
one of he's one of my favorite characters from that
Mhm.
franchise, and I know that are more they more have a relationship with the artist, but I think
Mm-hmm.
it would just be so cool if they were able to bring
And
in characters.
yeah, I mean they're gonna make more Scream movies. Maybe they could get Scream franchise in. I wouldn't mind seeing Sam or Tara Carpenter either from the
Mhm.
franchise, the new movies. But
Mm.
I'm kind of of the opinion don't bring Sydney in. Just let Sydney live her
Let
life. Let her be happy.
Sydney's
Yeah.
been through enough, y'all.
Yeah,
Like
she's been through a
I
lot.
know there's a lot of controversy about like next movie and her pay and all that, but
Mhm.
I'm kind of of the opinion like the franchise should like move on from Sydney
Yeah.
Mhm.
and let
It's
Sydney
like a
have her
new
happy ending.
generation.
Yeah, like let her have her
Yeah, don't
happy ending, and you can mess with Sam and Tara. Like, and Sam could have some like really like kind of Laurie Strode perks because she is such a fighter.
Mhm.
Like I don't know, if she would be like she wouldn't be the killer, but man, I think she, as a survivor, she could walk around with a knife and like
Mhm.
smack the killer. That's pretty much what she does in the movies. Like she walks that line between kind of good and evil, like
Yeah.
letting
Yeah.
the darkness in and not. But I could have a whole discussion on Scream. But anyway, but I love Dewey, and I'm so sad about like I understand why they did it in Scream 5 and they killed him off, but like it still breaks my heart.
Spoilers in case you haven't seen Scream 5.
It's been out for a bit. If you didn't know
Uh,
this,
has it been 2
yeah,
years?
it's been
Yeah,
like
it's been a
two
couple years.
years. Like
Yes.
if you don't know by now, he wasn't in Scream 6, hint hint either. So that's all I have on my wish list. I didn't come up with too many powers, but there's stuff I definitely like to see.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
same. I am gonna
Um,
add in
mhm.
this one. Sorry to interrupt. The
yeah,
Survivor one, because we were screwing around on ChatGPT, like coming up
Mhm.
with perks. And this one was actually one that we would love to see in the game. It was the buttered toast escape. Because we've asked it to make a perk surrounding like themes, and we did toast. And it was called Buttered Toast Escape. It just says toast always lands butter side up. You will always seem to land on your feet. So Lady Luck has a fondness for you. When performing a fastball or dropping a pallet, you have a 20, 30, or 40% chance to create a loud noise notification on the opposite side of the map to distract the killer.
Mhm.
And it also lowers your chance of being the killer's obsession by 50%, which I think would be really cool to have that as an actual perk.
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't have to be buttered toast, but whatever.
we put
No,
all
we
sorts of
want it
things in.
as butter toast because the
Yeah,
survivor has an obsession with toast. That's why we
exactly.
put it in there.
And I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it kind of reminds me of diversion, but it would just be cool because if you accidentally fastball, they're like, "Hey, what was that?" And then they go the other way.
Wait, is it for drop? Did you say it's for dropped palette?
Yeah, it says
So I'm
when you
running that with any means necessary, just so you know. Like
Mhm.
over.
exactly. So I don't. It says when you fast vault or dropping a pallet. So I don't know if that includes fast vaulting a pallet or just fast
Can you
vaulting
imagine?
anything.
Can you imagine
I
being
think
in
it's
chase of the killer and you drop the pallet and then there's like suddenly a noise on the other side? Like what?
on the other side of the map.
The killer is like, "What is that?" It would
Right.
be very confusing.
Be
Well,
like
I think
loud
it'd
noise
be
notifications
enough to
everywhere.
distract them.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a
So
good one. Did you have
yeah.
any other ones, Morbid?
Well, I have my licensed one.
What's that?
It's because I know you want to have like the big reveal because I'm excited for you. Hopefully, it's not this one, but I would love for The Exorcist to
Ooh.
be
Ooh,
a
that'd be interesting.
franchise.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna
Uh,
vomit on everyone.
yes,
Mhm.
I know that very much toes the line of our beloved mommy, but I just love that whole franchise. Maybe not some of the later ones, but I like that movie. It's one of the first horror movies I ever watched. It scared the ever living crap out of me. But I do. I really think it would be kind of cool. You could definitely have like a priest for a survivor, and then your killer obviously would be. I love this franchise. I don't know her name. The little girl that
Blink.
gets
Yeah.
possessed. So
Mhm.
yeah, she could be in like her little nightgown and it's blood stained and everything, and I could imagine the like contortions that she could get into
Oh,
as
that'd be
far
so
as like
creepy.
chase. It would be so terrifying. I would love it. It'd be
Could
amazing.
could you crawl backwards like she does on the stairs?
Yeah.
Like, oh my
Yes,
god,
like
that'd be
just
so
Yeah.
creepy.
to be chased by that, I would be terrified.
Oh, she could have a runner mode like
Xenomorph.
There you
she
go.
does that.
And then she can like possess. I feel like she'd a cool thing for her to do would be a possession, being able to like maybe
Oh,
possess a survivor or like interact with
interesting.
objects or something. It's one that I don't see a lot of people talk about really. And
Mm-mm.
I think it would be a cool franchise to get. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have.
That would be interesting for sure. All right, so I did mention like my chase one. So I have like in regards to survivors in there, the three of us I would want in there for
Oh
sure.
man, anxiety would be my power.
Because I think like we work well together and we have different play styles, but we
Hmm.
could have cool perks. I know if I was in there, so this perk came up like especially like with the turrets and stuff. Like I'm seeing more and more things that DBD can do, right? Mechanic wise. I would love if I was a survivor to have a perk called Found Familiar, where my cat's in the game.
Ooh,
And my cat can be patrolling a certain radius, and then the killer comes into that radius, and my cat would stun it.
nice.
So, but you could also deploy it, like, say you were in chase. It's like a second chance perk. I want my beloved cat, who I had 15 years that passed away a couple years ago. Her name is Ransom. I would love to have her in the game
Oh, that would be so
with
cool.
me, and she could stun killers.
She would love
Um,
that.
but yeah, just in general, behavior. If you'd like the three of us in a game, we would make amazing survivors.
We would.
Um, some general perks is I think it'd be really cool to have a perk where you can search lockers to find items to use against the killer. So whether it is, and this is, I did kind of get this one from Chat GTP where it's like you can search a locker and you can find either like distraction um, item or it said a melee weapon.
Oh.
Yes, please.
And
A
there was a certain
DS.
percent, yeah, there was a certain percent of of you finding something, but finding something you could throw to distract, or finding like a broken bottle that you
That
could
would be
stab the
cool.
killer with. And then this one might be a little controversial, like a major, just because I feel like the main gameplay, I don't know for everybody else who's been playing Survivors, but it has been so campy and salty in the games lately, at least for us.
Mm-hmm.
And
Agreed.
I feel like they have nerfed a lot of the second chance perks like to the ground. I would like a perk. Well, if you're downed, and again, like this would have to be something where you're probably going to be earning stacks. Like you're going to have to do something for this perk, either like playing the game aggressively, being in the terror radius, doing co-op. Like there's something you'll have to do for this one. But where you're downed, you instantly recover and then get a sprint boost. So like you get down, instant recovery, get up, and say for 3 seconds you can sprint at like 150%.
So it's like a mix of adrenaline and soul guard.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's cool.
Like unbreakable into like adrenaline. Like you get up.
But it's
Yeah.
instant.
It's instant, yeah. So it's why.
Yeah. So it's obviously gonna have where you're not gonna be able, and maybe it's like a one-time use like DS or something like that. But it's a second chance perk is one of the ones I came up with. So I'm now going to enter my persuasive presentation to have a certain franchise added to the game. Now, this franchise is in no means horror related, but this is something that I grew up with, that I loved growing up with. Dead by Daylight, I would like the Goonies to be added to the
I should have
game.
known.
As soon as you said this is something that I grew up with, I was like, oh my God, I remember watching the Goonies with you. So, yes.
This is my proposal.
Oh my God, I'm so for it.
The killer is One-Eyed Willie.
Yes.
But you're like, Queen, One-Eye Willie was dead in the Goonies. Yes, but One-Eye Willie was a badass. And in my opinion, the entity would see One-Eye Willie. You want to know why? Let me tell you One-Eye Willie's story for those of you who have not watched the Goonies. He is a pirate, obviously, plundering, getting treasure. After one of his exploits, he pisses off the British king at the time, and the Royal Navy is sent after him on his pirate ship, the Inferno. If there's no reason to have him in the game, might as well, because he has a pirate ship called the Inferno. But they chase down Willie into this cove, bomb the cove. He gets trapped in with him and his crew in a ship. And this is what he does. He goes about, and his crew, and they place like booby traps all over like this place, right? And then because he's so freaking greedy, after he gets all his, crewmen to work for him, he then kills them all. So they can't get his treasure. So I think the entity would be watching him anyways and be like, that is my type of guy. And then he just dies among his treasure. So I could just see him sitting there dying and get a fogging and the entity taking him. So I think a pirate would be an amazing killer. Can you imagine him with like his cutlass,
Oh
or
my God. That would
maybe
be
have
so
like a
cool.
power where like cannons go off or something like that?
Could you imagine
A
a map?
pirate ship map? Not only that, you have an abundance of survivors because you have the whole Goonies gang.
Yes.
So whether you actually have, like, I know they typically do like 2 survivors, then you could have cosmetics to have the other survivors. But if you're thinking about it, behavior, you're going to want to do all of them with all separate perks because they're all different. So you have
why
like,
not?
yeah, because you have like Mikey, who's like the leader of the group. It's good at solving things. And you have Data, who's the inventor and makes things. Like they all do something different. But you can have cool perks named, I don't know, Never Say Die, or the Truffle Shuffle, or Pinchers of Peril. Like, can you imagine all the perk names you can have? So I did plug in, because again, we've been messing around with Chat GTP, and I did plug in some stuff. And one of the perks I did like, so there's a character named Sloth who is, to give you a rundown. So again, it's about a group of kids or teenagers that go out and they try to find a pirate treasure. The reason they're doing this is their homes are about to be torn down. And in the midst of everything going on, there's also a crime family. They're Fratellis running around town. They just busted their son out of prison, and they kind of cross paths. So they're trying to hunt down this treasure to save their home. At the same time, they're being chased down by this crime family. There's booby traps. They have to get past puzzles they have to solve. If you watch the uncut version, the scene that got taken out, there's an octopus they fight, but
Yeah, it's so
they
cool.
they had to take it out. There's a pirate ship. There's love. Like, it's just a good 80s movie. great movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yeah, it's great.
But one of the characters that's very beloved is his name is Sloth. He's part of the Fratelli family, that they keep him locked up because he's different. He's like a giant, and he was dropped a lot as a kid. But he befriends Chunk, one of the kids, and at the end they show up at the end and kind of like save the day. So I plugged in like perks that can be, based on the Goonies, and one of the perks it gave me was Sloth Strength. It says your experience have made you stronger, more resilient. So when you're basically struggling, like the killer's holding you, you are 5, 10, 50% more effective. Additionally, the time it takes for the killer to recover from attacks on you is increased. So I guess it's saying like if they're carrying you, you can wiggle more, or if they like actually land a hit on you, it takes longer for them to like reset. I thought that was interesting. I did come up with like some ideas for One-Eyed Willie if he was a killer. And I think he would
I'm
be trap
excited.
based, right? Booby traps on the map.
Mhm.
So we already have Trapper. Some of the perks that it kind of came up with had to do with chests, right? Because the whole reason Willie killed his crew is he wanted all that bounty for himself. Some of the perks it gave me is cursed chests. Some of the treasure chests in the trial are cursed. When survivors open a cursed chest, they become cursed for 60 seconds. While cursed, their action speed for appearing, healing, and sabotaging is reduced, and their grunts of pain are 50% louder.
Hmm.
So right now there is really nothing that happens to you with you interact with a chest. So I thought that was interesting. And then another one was Greed's Reward. It says your insatiable greed drives you protect your treasure. Survivors who interact with the chest within a certain meter range from you suffer the exhausted status effect for 30 seconds. And then it has a cooldown. So you see those people who like say they're chasing somebody, you're like open up a chest. Well, they could switch to you. Now you're exhausted. So I thought that was interesting. And then one of the other things it came up with, now originally came up with this as a power of One-Eyed Willie, but I don't think it's a power, but it created a hex. So it created hex cursed wounds, which to me, I feel like this would be like if you were hooked or something. So it says survivors affected by the curse suffer from 20, 30, 40% slower healing and repair speeds, and the curse can be cleansed by finding and breaking the totem associated with it. So you get off the hook and you're affected by this curse. And so it's like, are you going to do the gen or are you going to try to heal with that nerf on you, or are you going to spend time trying to get your totem?
Interesting.
But
I was like, do we
uh
need more hex perks? No.
We're a little
but
traumatized as of late.
I know, but yeah, we've been going against a lot of killers who all they're running is hex builds.
Plaything and
Um,
Pentimento. Thank you.
yeah, but anyways,
It's still pretty cool.
Mhm.
that is my TED talk to have the Goonies added into Dead by Daylight. Thank you for coming.
Hey, man, I know Stranger Things obviously is horror related, but I still feel like that is very Goonies-esque. I mean, it's very 80s. Like, they could do it. I think it would be cool. And it's
Mocking, what
something
are
I've
your
never
thoughts?
thought of.
Yeah. Did we
Bring it
did we
in.
lose?
No, I'm
Did we,
here.
yeah, you're here. Okay. Oh my God, I
Oh,
want to know your thoughts so bad. Bring it
Oh,
in.
on what, Goonies?
Yes.
yeah,
You
tell
want to know?
us.
You want to know the truth? I've only seen
Yes.
Goonies once.
So what I mean is we're watching Goonies.
I am not
So,
very
movie
familiar
night.
with Goonies. I did
Okay.
not grow up watching Goonies, so I think I've seen it once as an
Neither did
adult.
I. And I
So,
watched it at Queen's house, and then I've
And I
watched it
just
like,
kept make her
yeah.
watching it anytime
so
we
I'm
had like
not
a
against
sleepover.
Goonies or anything like that. I'm just like not as familiar with
Okay.
it as a
Hmm.
franchise. So,
No,
and I
that's
know,
cool.
and it's very popular. I know that. The only issue I see with Goonies is you can't put any of the kids in. Because behavior will not put kids in
Oh,
as survivors. That's why,
yeah.
like with Stranger Things, it's Steve and Nancy and Jonathan. They won't put 11 or Mike. I mean, if they had kept the license, maybe, and they got older, maybe like 11, like because who knows when the season 5's coming out, right?
Hmm.
That's true. You can't call Victor a baby. He's,
No,
you know.
but like I know like their stances, they don't put like really young they don't put children as
I
survivors.
forgot about that.
Well, these were
So, but there are
think the
teenagers,
age-
and you
yeah.
have sloths. Like you have like, see, I haven't seen it forever. The older brother.
The older
Yeah.
Like,
brother,
yeah, you can
have
put him
the
in.
2 girls, you have
Mhm.
Mouth. I think the only ones age related that might be iffy would be Chunk, Mikey, and
Mhm.
Data, but you still have the older ones.
Yeah, you
And
can do the older
Sloth as
ones, just
well.
not the younger. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the
They
only
could get
like.
creative, I feel like.
I mean, they could age him up because they did that with the Ring chapter
Mhm.
with the Onryo. They aged up.
Yoshi.
Because his story like ended when he was. I mean, I haven't read all the books. In the movies, I believe he's a kid. So, yeah, they like made up lore for him and made him an adult. So you could do that also, like
Mhm.
Mikey as an adult and all that. So
So what
there
you're
are
saying is it's possible.
It's
it is
possible.
it is possible. I'm just saying, like, as of just taking it straight from the movie, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to take like the really young kids, but you could take the older teenagers.
Mhm.
So
And there's always talks about them going back to it for years. They're like, we
Mhm.
Oh,
want to make
yeah.
another Goonies, like the cast in general. So even if it doesn't ever happen, it could happen in Dead by Daylight, and then we could have a really cool pirate ship.
all right, I'm all for
Man.
pirate ships. I wish I would have
Mhm.
thought about a pirate idea.
Same.
Mhm.
Because
Could you
it
imagine
even
though? Sorry.
no, go ahead.
But yeah, it's like, could you imagine like just I don't know, like there'd be trapdoors, there could be hidden chambers, like it would just be so cool.
The Maury
Yeah.
could be walking the plank.
But
Even
yeah,
if it's like not Goonies, something pirate related would be so cool.
yeah, I was about to say there's like historical pirates you could pull from
Yes.
too, or
Mhm.
inspire, the lore from Blackbeard and all
Blackbeard.
there. Yeah, Blackbeard. Like one thing, okay, I kind of forgot to mention this. Well, this is just an overall thought. I wish they would put more, how do I put it? Like historical like killers and
Mhm.
survivors in.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I know like Victoria's from the Middle Ages, right? But
Mhm.
his base cosmetic is not from the Middle Ages, which I don't understand because I know we had this talk when he first came out, Queen. Like you're like, well, those are
Mhm.
the clothes he has now because he's been in the realm so long. I'm like, well, that makes
Mhm.
sense.
He's found them.
But like, I guess from when I first started the game, my perception was like their base cosmetics was kind of like the cosmetic that they came into the realm with, because that was the cosmetic that was prestige, the bloody cosmetic that was really hard to get before they redid all the prestige system and stuff. So that was just kind of my initial thought. Whether that's correct or not, I have no idea, but that's how I always saw it, was like the base cosmetic was like the one truest to their character and their lore. So that's why I was like surprised that Victorio did not have like a appropriate attire for the century he came from.
Yeah, which
So
came later in the Rift, but
yeah,
I
it
feel like
comes
that
later. But
I feel like that was kind of lore based for him in regards to how they were showing how long he's been in the trial.
yeah,
He
I would
doesn't
love.
even have his own clothes anymore.
Yeah, I would just love to see some killers
He
and
doesn't need them.
survivors. No, he's got
You
the
can take
no
them off.
shirt. There's no shirt needed. But like, I
He
wish there
doesn't need
was.
pants.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going that far. Just shorts. The next thing is some
Just
tight
underwear, it's
shorts.
fine.
Gosh.
Go full fig leaf.
Right?
Oh, that was totally not where I was going with this. But anyway,
I'm sorry, I derailed.
You're welcome.
I should know we were talking about Victoria, and then it becomes shirtless, and then it's just
I
like
know.
everything's
It
coming
just
off.
escalated.
Anyway, I want to see some more time period like survivors and killers from different eras. We have Mommy is like the oldest, but I think like really on this, I think it's because on the survivor side, everyone is very modern for the most
Very
part.
modern day for the most part.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
the majority is like, I think you got Victoria, Kate's kind of older, I believe, maybe Hattie, but not like hundreds of years older like Victoria is. So
Well,
anyway.
he's like not in the most everyone's in this century now. You know what I mean?
They're in the last 100 year.
Last
'cause isn't
100
it
years
Kate
or
from
so.
like the 60s or something? She's from earlier, but
think
And
so.
I think Dredge is from earlier too, like the 60s, I think. See, we haven't deep dived into these lore, but for the most part, most of the survivors are like very modern, or they look very modern, so you can't even tell, like, are they from an earlier time period? We don't know. I just want them to get a little more creative. You can still give them the hip, cool cosmetics in the store, okay?
Mhm.
Like, you're gonna do that
Yeah, that can come
anyways.
later.
Just give us some more, like, I just think it'd be more interesting than having like the same kind of look for the survivors.
Yeah, or even just like different like aesthetics or something like that, like steampunk
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
would be
do
yeah.
that.
cool.
Yeah.
A survivor and killer based on, the whole steampunk aesthetic would be awesome. We like that
Mm-hmm.
idea of steampunk, Victorian,
Yes.
Oh,
um,
yes.
Big old
would be
dress.
really
Do it.
cool. Yeah.
Yes.
The
Even like,
wig. Let's go full
uh,
Marie
Oh
Antoinette.
my
Let's
God,
go.
heck
yes.
yeah. I even thought about like books and stuff. Like
French
I played
nobles.
around with like Frankenstein,
Oh
which
yeah.
is a classic monster, but Frankenstein, the actual monster, would not be the killer. The killer would be Victor Frankenstein, the
Yeah.
person who created them. The monster would be a survivor.
That would be
And
a
I would
different
play the hell
twist.
out of him too. Like, let's
Yes.
go.
Oh my God,
One of my favorite
yes.
books. Let's go.
Yes, one of my favorite books too. I love that book. It is my favorite top one book ever. But I was thinking, like, because some of those classic literature books have such great villains
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
in them. Like you mentioned, vampires, Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
So even taking stuff from, I would say, like the classic horror literature would be really cool as well.
Mm-hmm.
Bring some literature into Dead by Daylight. I would love that. Any final thoughts as we wrap up?
Nope. I'm interested to see PTV.
Yeah,
We'll see how that goes.
definitely gonna have to try out some of the changes and see how they've been implemented.
It's also
And
gonna.
then,
Okay.
yeah, see if they keep them. Like, 'cause the last time
hmm
they changed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they did.
I guess I'm gonna have to buy Skull Merchant with my shards and PTV so we can even play her. Like, we
Oh,
don't
that's
own, none of us
right.
own Skull Merchant. That, or we're just gonna have to go
Crap.
against her. But I would be interested to see the test things.
I'm just gonna tell you
So
to calm down. Don't get wild, Mocking.
what? Destroy
Don't
you?
don't get wild with thinking about purchasing her yet.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not gonna. I'm talking about like in PTB, like
Yeah,
because to
yeah.
play
Oh, that's true, 'cause you
PTB,
get it. Yeah.
I would. I don't think you. I'll have to check. I don't think you get characters that you don't have in PTB. Does that make sense? I mean, everything in PTB doesn't stick, so I could spend my shards because I have my shards
Okay.
saved up for
True, true.
cosmetics. So I do have
That's
9,000
true.
shards.
I could do shard spending as well, and we wouldn't lose them. Okay, you
No, I'm
scared me
not.
for a
No,
moment.
I'm not thinking of buying her at this point.
I was like, whoa,
Um,
whoa. You're going a little
I'm talking
hardcore.
about
Calm
PTB,
down.
so we can actually play PTB and test PTB stuff.
You're
you
going
guys.
overboard
Okay.
for the podcast.
So
Okay.
if for testing,
We're going
just PTB.
above.
It's not real. It's not real. It's not real
I
shards.
know.
It's not real blood points, and it doesn't matter. So everything's made up, and the points don't matter.
Everything.
Oh, good. Okay, I was
Okay, we're
worried.
fine. Whew, breather.
Kind of how I feel about some of their updates. Like, made up.
And the points. Yeah, I get that. Well, hopefully we'll be able to give you guys our thoughts if there is a PTB, and definitely see what's changed, because they mentioned a lot of, and this is going to change, but they didn't put it in there. So we can go over that. I guess, does anyone have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Mm-mm.
Nope.
I think that's
No?
it.
We're all good?
Yeah.
All right. As we like to say, we hope that you're having good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And bye.
Bye.
Right.